A few years ago, if you would have asked me why I wanted to build an online business, my answer probably would have been simple: money. And honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that. Most of us start looking for opportunities online because we want more income, more security, more options. I certainly did. After spending most of my working life at sea, away from home for very long periods, I knew I wanted something different for the future. I wanted another option, another source of income, another path in marketing. I immediately focused on one thing: making money. Every video I watched, every course that I bought, and every strategy that I looked at, the question running through my mind was always, how much money can this make? But maybe you've asked yourself the same question, because when you're starting out, money feels like the answer. You imagine that once you earn enough, everything else will fall into place. But something happened. And on my journey, that is, just on the money, the more frustrated I became, because money is a terrible short-time motivator, especially online. Why? I'll tell you, because results are often delayed. You can spend weeks creating content, months learning skills, and months building trust, and see very little financial reward at first. The problem is that if money is your only motivation, those early months feel incredibly discouraging, because every day becomes a scorecard. You check your views, you check your clicks, you check your commissions, and when the numbers aren't moving fast enough, you start questioning everything: your strategy, your content, your ability. I know I went through it myself, everything. Eventually, I realized something very important. The people who succeed online long term are rarely obsessed with money every day. They're obsessed with helping people. I've said this a few times in a few videos. Helping people is the answer. And before you start rolling your eyes and think that it's just another cliche, just hear me out a bit, because this isn't just about money doesn't matter. Of course it matters. We all have bills, we all have responsibilities, and we all have family goals. But the creators who last, the ones who build trust, the ones who build audiences, they usually focus on something bigger than commissions. They focus on the service that they're providing, like helping somebody solve a problem, helping somebody avoid a mistake, or helping somebody that feels less alone. Once I started thinking this way, everything kind of changed. Instead of asking, how can I make money from this video? I started asking, how can I genuinely help somebody with this video? That's a very different kind of mindset. And strangely enough, it made creating content a bit easier, because I stopped trying to impress people. I stopped trying to sound like an expert. And I stopped worrying about saying the perfect things. And I started sharing what I had actually learned, the mistakes, the frustrations, the lessons, including everything I've learned from spending years working away at sea. Because those experiences, all those experiences, they're very real. And people connect with real. One thing I've noticed is that many beginners feel pressured to act like experts online. But you don't need to be anything like an expert to help someone. You simply need to just be like a few steps ahead of them. If you've solved a problem that someone else is struggling with, you have something valuable to share. And that's what content creation really is. Sharing experiences, sharing your lessons, and sharing your solutions. Not showing off to people or showing off at all. And once you understood that, and once I understood that, the pressure started disappearing. Creating videos became more enjoyable because I wasn't chasing a result anymore. I was serving an audience. And here's the interesting part. The less obsessed I became with money, the more progress I started actually making. Not overnight, and not dramatically, but steadily. Because people can sense authenticity, you know? They can tell when you're genuinely trying to help them. And trust goes much faster when you are focused on people instead of the profits. That's one reason I believe that YouTube is such a powerful platform. It allows people to get to know you, to understand your values, to hear your story, and to decide whether they trust you or not. And trust is what creates long-term opportunities. No tricks, not shortcuts, not hype, just trust. That's why today, my goals look very different. Yes, I still want financial freedom, but I no longer think about money in the same way. Now I focus on creating useful content, helping people, building relationships, and staying consistent. Because I know that the income follows the value, not the other way around. Now, if you're watching this and feeling frustrated because you're not seeing results yet, I want you to ask yourself a question. What are you really chasing? Is it money? Or is it what money represents? More time, more choice, and more freedom. More presence with the family. That's exactly for me. Because for me, that was what it was all about. As I finally understood that, everything became much clearer. Now, if you're trying to build an online business without hype, without the complicated systems, and without the unrealistic promises, that's exactly what my channel is about, or this channel. So if that sounds useful, please consider subscribing. And if you'd like to see a simple, beginner-friendly system I'm using right now, I've put together my free guide, my free PDF. It's down there in the description. Please take a look. Download it and take a look. When you're ready, absolutely no pressure. And remember this, money matters, but helping people matters more. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. So Steve out from there.